Frack on, everyone. Welcome to the episode of Frack the Canon. In this one, we're gonna go back to the 90s again because we just love the 90s. We 2020, it's a horrible year. We're gonna go back to the 90s and we're gonna decide between us, the panelists. That is Renee, Mr. Tyler Weist. Tyler Weist right there. Mr. Kenny Jasper, who was joined us last time we talked about Power Rangers. The hostess with the mostest, CJ my cream, my brother from another mother, right here.
And I want to be the very best.
no one ever was. Like no one ever was. And then last but not least, she has not been on this show for the past 5 years, but she was the first guest we ever had. She is my baby sister, Pandora. Hi, Pandora. Say hi. Oh, such a teenager. Hi, Pandora. So this episode, we're talking about Pokemon versus Digimon, and why is it Pokemon's the better one? All right.
Wrong.
Excuse me?
Yes, that's
Very
what
wrong.
I said. Why is it Pokemon that is the better of the Pokemon versus Digimon? We all know it's Pokemon. All right, Renee, you said no, so let's start with you. Why is it? Do you disagree?
Well, story-wise, I think Digimon's the better franchise. Pokemon is done over many times. Like, how can I explain this? Digimon has a better storyline, while Pokemon has the better marketing for toys and products. It's more of the franchise, the cash grab franchise, as opposed to Digimon.
Okay. How so though? Like, in what ways do you say it's?
Well, let me form that a little bit. Form that.
Thank
for you.
Yeah.
All
right.
Okay, so I didn't watch a lot of Digimon growing up. All right, I know the song from the first one, but
I know too.
so you say the story wise it's better. Why don't you, as someone who is on the outside, why don't you give us some of the story? Give us a little synopsis.
Digimon is a story where there's 7 kids and they get thrown into a digital world and have to escape the digital world by doing a set of tasks with their digital partner monster things.
The digital companion.
Digital companion, that's exactly it, yes. So there is a world they're thrust into and they have to escape from. And then in future seasons, after they've escaped that world bleeds into our world. And since they know all about it, and still have their digital companions that they are reunited with, they can push back that evil element from the world. And Pokemon is a kid that runs away from home and wants to Michael Vick a bunch of animals all over the world.
What a reference.
Explain the show badly. That is perfect. I like it.
Wow. I chimed in on that last part and it sounded bad.
Why do you think Pokemon is a better show?
All right. A lot of what, at least what I like, as far as like being a super Pokemon fan, obviously I'm wearing a friggin' Pokemon hat right now.
Is that what that is? I'm like, what is that?
It's Espeon.
This is Espeon, yes.
To be fair, there's a Digimon with the exact same ears.
That's funny. Even though we did it better though. But Espeon is actually my favorite Pokemon. But Pokemon, a lot of Pokemon love from me comes from like a lot of the nostalgia factor. And I don't disagree with what Renee was saying. Because when I think about Pokemon versus Digimon, I think about something like other big verses. This isn't like Marvel versus DC. This is like Marvel versus like Dark Horse or something. You know what I mean? Like there are like freaking and I'm just being matter of fact. You know what I mean? Like like there is quality to what Dark Horse produces. You know what I mean? There are fans and cult followings and people who love what they do. But the sheer volume of, and especially if you think about Marvel as a part of like Disney right now, the sheer volume of what the Pokemon company can just throw at consumers as opposed to what Digimon can do, it kind of dwarfs that. You know what I mean? Like Renee was saying before, like they have the better marketing. There's like the Pokemon company. There's a whole company dedicated to everything Pokemon, and that's all they do
Yeah.
is just that. And they like what I just watched. What they just launched? What it's called Pokemon Sleep, right? It's for kids, and like it's like an app on your phone or something, and you like earn like points and can do little mini games with Pokemon, like for like sleeping properly. There's like this Pokemon like toothbrushing app that you can learn, like, that you can
Yeah.
earn little things like to like
Po-
do. There's so much volume of
Yeah.
crap that Pokemon can just fling at the wall. Like it doesn't matter, like because something is gonna land.
Yeah, it's very
Um,
much like Hello Kitty in a sense where there's Hello Kitty everything. That's what Pokemon is in that sense. It's a household name at this point.
Yeah.
And to that point, now getting around to that point, like on my end, what makes Pokemon better? Well, it's just it can be in other it can just be everywhere. It can exist everywhere. You don't have to play the games. You might be into the card games. You don't have to be into the card games. You might like the card games a little bit. But to that point, there are a lot of seasons of Pokemon, and there are bad seasons. And there are actually good seasons of Pokemon, because I've actually kind of like drifted back into watching it more recently in the last few years. Some of the more recent seasons of Pokemon, and just kind of been blown away at like the quality of what I was watching. Like, whoa, this isn't what I was watching when I was a kid. This is actually interesting. This is actually pretty cool. So there are good seasons of Pokemon. I think that Pokemon is kind of you know, on another episode that we recorded about Power Rangers, I kind of view Pokemon as kind of nailed down and into that same pigeonhole, in that like, here's a story that you have a time limit to tell. Because American Power Rangers is kind of based on the Super Sentai. So it's like, they're kind of like, as soon as Super Sentai is done with that, soon America's going to be done with that too, because we're going to move on and keep copying what they're doing. The same thing with Pokemon is kind of nailed down to whatever iteration of that has been released in the game world. There's kind of the synergy going on. So like this Pokemon, the anime, has like only so much time to kind of like tell this story and make it good before the next game comes out, and then they got to change it up completely again. This Pokemon pretty much reboots itself every time a new video game comes out.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna shut up right now.
So
all
Joyce,
good.
I'm gonna go to you, Joyce, very fast before I move on. So I know you've seen both. You're Johanna, you're know both. Would you prefer more, Digimon or Pokemon?
Pokemon.
Okay, why Pokemon?
It's just better. I don't know why. I just found Digimon like a ripoff of Pokemon.
Okay, interesting. Can you elaborate on that and how it's? I know how, but as someone who was born with Pokemon and Digimon already in their life, and we weren't, we kind of were introduced to it. How was it a ripoff?
It basically like, took like the storyline of having this person like have a companion with them and like going on this journey from the original one. Pokemon.
Okay. All right, good point. All right, interesting.
Basically the same storyline, but just changed up a little bit to a different like universe.
But interesting enough, Digimon came before Pokemon.
Yeah.
Because Digimon was the premise
Tamagotchi,
of the
kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Tamagotchi.
The
Are you
Tamagotchi.
talking about Tamagotchi?
Yeah, that's
Well,
what Digimon was. It is.
That's what it was
That-
based off of, was the little Tamagotchi pet, and then they took it and ran with it and created like a storyline and the show and a bunch of other things.
I did not know that. I just thought Tamagotchi
Yeah.
was its own little thing, and Digimon was its own different thing. All right. So I am like Johanna. I am a fan of Pokemon, but as a kid, when it came up, I'm like, this is a ripoff of Pokemon. I didn't know Tamagotchi inspired Digimon. The only thing I remember Digimon is
Digimon, digital monsters, Digimon are the champions. Digimon, digital monsters, Digimon are the champions. Change into digital champions to save the digital world.
that's all I remember from
Catchy theme song.
the theme song was amazing, but
Yeah.
I'm a make mine Pokemon, and then but I have fallen off after because Johanna was the one that kind of was watching again. I'm like, all right, like they're still doing the show, and so I was following with what Johanna was watching, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of the same, but there's new monsters. That's the one thing. Like TJ said, like every time there's a new game, they revamp it. There's a new monster. I'm like, ugh. These is not for me. I'm done with the OG 150. So personally, I haven't followed either or, but I'm very much a make my Pokemon. But how do you guys feel about that? Like with the revamps of Pokemon, or has Digimon even revamped, or is it still kind of the same?
So
No.
Digimon kind of has
Correct.
that leeway with monsters. Like there's no set number of monsters, which is why it's kind of for me which is why I like it, because there's no set number of monsters like there is Pokemon.
There's a game that just came out recently or re-released recently for the Switch, and it has I call it like the Digidex, Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory. Both of them really underrated games, and they have like almost all of the Digiline in it, which kind of gives you a number, but it was never based off like collect all 150. It's get your favorites and have and bond with those favorites, which is why I've always liked Digimon more, because like you catch a Caterpie, you're not going to care about your Caterpie until it turns into a Butterfree, then it's going to go back in the box, and then you're going to keep your core 6. Whereas your Digimon, you're training with it, you're building a partnership with it, and then you're trying to get it to Digivolve up to that ultimate, the champion, the Royal Knights, like whatever level you're trying to get it to. Usually there's a sentiment to it more so than Charizard's my favorite, so I always pick Charmander.
Interesting. All right, Tyler, what about you? Go ahead.
I just had a follow-up question, just out of interest. Can you give me a little bit of the gameplay loop to those Digimon games?
Yeah. So very, very similar to Pokemon style. You go around, you're doing missions. You have your companion. You enter the digital world, but you also come back into the real world. And similar to the show storyline, they have that moment where the digital world overlaps with the real world, and you can bring your Digimon out into that world. Similar to Pokemon again, there's a limit to your team cap, but it's more RPG style. You have 3 Digimon out on the field at the same time, battling another 3 Digimon on the field at the same time. So a little different to that. And then there's a rock, paper, scissors element to, there's a vaccine Digimon, there's
Data and Virus.
Virus, and they all have their pros and cons. But with that, you kind of want to build a better team than just, here's my heavy hitters. I know the Pokemon competitive scene has those similarities where they know all the meta game to it. But the majority of people playing Pokemon aren't playing for the meta. Like they're playing because you're gonna build your team of Charizard, Snorlax, Lapras, or the newer ones.
So
Tyler.
I just wanted to jump in and respond to the assertion that Digimon is a Pokemon clone. Pokemon has a lot of clones. Digimon is not one of them. But Monster Rancher is probably the most ripoff of Pokemon. That one is the one we wanted.
My gosh, Monster Rancher.
Yeah. But the reason why Digimon is so different than Pokemon, aside from a lot of different elements, in my opinion, the biggest standout one is the primary goal of Digimon is to escape from the digital world for these kids. Whereas in Pokemon, the primary goal is up front in the intro all over.
I wanna be the very best, like no one ever was. To catch them is my real test, to train them is my cause. I will travel across the land, searching far and wide. Each Pokemon to understand the power that's inside.
I want to be the best Pokemon trainer, and I think that vastly separates the story elements from Digimon and Pokemon. In Pokemon, it's I just want to collect Pokemon, and that's basically it. Collect Pokemon and train them and become better. Whereas with Digimon, it's a life and death scenario for our main characters. The stakes are super high. They can end up trapped in this digital world. They're just these kids who went to this summer camp, and then they get thrown into this thing, and now it's like, oh my gosh, we could be dead if we don't achieve our goal of escaping from this world with the help of our digital companions.
It's not just that they can die too, it's that they find out throughout the course of the show that their Digimon can die as well.
Yeah.
Like, I know Pokemon can die, like there's canon to it, but like it doesn't have that heavy weight like Digimon had.
Right. Yeah, and in Pokemon, literally trainers are like, all right, Pikachu, time to take on like Mega Charizard or whatever it's called. And it's like, okay, yeah, you're gonna put your companion or your Pokemon equivalent to your companion in the hospital, because that power difference is ridiculous. But in Pokemon, you see those battles all the time, and it's like not a big deal. It seems like trainers in Pokemon do not care about their Pokemon, and people.
That's true though.
Yeah, and people try to cite Ash as this like wonderful protagonist for caring so much about Pikachu, but it's like.
But he tried to force his Pikachu to evolve just to beat Raichu.
Right. Yeah, and like he beats Pikachu gets beat up all his life.
Pikachu say no though.
Yeah, like one of the few Pokemon trainers who did.
Johanna thoughts? Pandora thoughts?
He asked Pikachu and he listened to Pikachu. And the person that he was fighting with Raichu in that episode, actually, it's 2008, The Path to Evolution, where it's Pikachu versus Raichu. He asked Pikachu, but he was thinking about it. He asked, but he didn't do it. Well, Raichu's trainer did do it, and Raichu trainers didn't give no Fs whatsoever. While other Pokemon trainers, like, for example, Brock, he cared for his Pokemon.
Okay.
He always made medicine and carried extra food.
Yeah, those
and
are the
it would always go.
Pandora, you just brought a tear to my eye.
Like Gary, for example, he didn't listen, but he also learned to listen later on and helped care for his Pokemon.
I've trained you well, Pandora.
All right, let me speak to what Tyler was saying. The story he's talking about, like how the thing about Digimon is it's about these characters, right? It's about the characters that the show is about, and so you get invested in those characters, and so that story can kind of pull you through that way. Whereas the Pokemon experience, right? Because it's not just like one thing. The Pokemon experience is trying to do the same thing that Disney is, which is sell you on an idea, which is sell you on a place, right? Like sell you on this idealism. Here's Disney World. You come here to let your fantasy kind of run wild. You know what I mean? That's the same thing Pokemon is trying to do. They're saying here's Pokemon world. Here's the world of Pokemon. Every Pokemon game begins with here's the world of Pokemon, like where we do this and blah blah blah, and who gives a crap? Everybody knows it. And whatever Professor Wood name is explaining you the world of Pokemon before you get your new Pokemon, right? And then you go off and then you set off into this world on your own adventure, on your own terms. And you can really kind of, the protagonist, Ash is kind of, Ash in the show is kind of like supposed to be a semi version of you, because these shows are really just trying to sell you the game or the cards or whatever. And so you play the game, you can do the kind of the similar things. You know, I can go on a journey. And to that point where, Kenny, you were saying, you know what I mean, you make bonds with your Pokemon and Digimon, and you don't really give in Pokemon. First of all, buddy, I am a damn good Pokemon trainer, and I care about my Pokemon, and I pet them and shit and all that other little crap that they.
Okay, but you only have a magic card.
You know what I mean? And then I have those battles, and then it's like they're about to die, and then my Eevee's all like, "Oh, he didn't die because he wanted to like support you or whatever," and I'm all like, "Yeah, freaking Eevee, hit that too." But
that's the
freaking
new game canon.
But that's the thing. But you know, Pokemon like came at me at like the right time in my life. Like Pokemon is in the same way that like like Renee is like a super Power Rangers nerd. You know what I mean? Like I'm totally like a super Pokemon nerd. Like,
oh yeah. So like piggyback
here's
off
my
of that,
limited edition Pokemon Switch.
What?
Oh, let's go.
I
Eevee.
am jelly.
I'm guessing you picked Eevee.
Oh, yes, I did. One thing that Tyler was saying about like how Pokemon are like pretty much just like a fantasy Michael Vick's or whatever. There is, which is hilarious, but there is a season / game. Obviously the games inform the seasons, but the Black and White series of video game story kind of focuses on this idea of the bad guys, the Team Rocket of that generation. I actually can't remember what they were, what team they were, but the Team Rocket of that generation. What was that?
It was like Galaxy or Galaxis or something like that.
Something like that. But their aim was to kind of like upset the whole world order because of that fact. Like they saw themselves as a sort of like Pokemon activist sort of a thing. And they were just kind of like, oh no, like people like enslave their Pokemon and this whole thing. And that season is actually one of the first seasons that I kind of got back into of Pokemon. And it's actually one of the best seasons of Pokemon to exist, the Pokemon Black White season, followed by Pokemon X and Y, which is actually incredible too. But yeah.
To go off of that, the reason why I think Pokemon it blew up the way it did and Digimon didn't is came out around the same time. We're all about 10, 12, 11 years old. Mm-hmm. And then that's the main character. He's a 10-year-old going out on this journey that I think we all kind of wish we had and could go along with. And they've continually done every season. He stays 10 years old. He's 10 years old in the next season. He's 10 years old now. It's that buying power at childhood. Whereas like Digimon grew up with us. Like most of us that enjoy Digimon more, like you start off they're 10-year-olds going to summer camp, and then you come back to it now and they're adults trying to figure out how they're gonna finish secondary school and still save the world. And like it hits you a little bit more in the nostalgia where you check back in and Ash is still trying to figure out like, can my Pikachu win me the Pokemon League?
All right, so last question before we wrap up. What is your favorite Mon and why? Like either Digimon or Pokemon. So we're gonna go with we'll start with Johanna and then go all the way up to Johanna. Johanna, what is your favorite Mon, Pokemon or Digimon?
Pokemon.
Okay, which one is it, Johanna? Which is your favorite Pokemon and why?
Oh no, I don't care. And I guess I'll just say the most generic answer should be Pikachu.
I
don't care enough.
All right, fine. I'll take it. All right, Tyler, what's your favorite Mon?
My favorite Mon is Digimon, and my favorite Digimon is Gundramon, which is just a giant beast that has a lot of guns. It's like a Mechagodzilla with guns everywhere.
That sounds pretty badass, actually. All right, that's pretty cool. Let me see. Where is it? Renee, what is your favorite Mon?
Can I pick both? Because I do like both, to be honest. I mean,
you can.
I grew up with both.
Fine, but it's a cop-out answer, but fine.
Okay. Well, Pokemon and obviously the Evolution line, and hands down, Jolteon's my favorite of the Evolutions. Digimon, my favorite Digimon is Kudamon, which is a Holy Spirit ferret-looking Digimon, which evolves, which came out with a new Mega Evolution recently, Mirtamamon, and it looks pretty freaking awesome. I wish they would have that in the Cyber Sleuth games, because the Mega Evolution they have for that one, I don't know. It's just a horse with armor, basically.
Oh yeah, it's a Royal Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like Mirtamamon better. But yeah, those are my favorite.
Cool. Kenny, your favorite Mon and why?
Digimon, like hands down. I have the Crest of Courage like tattooed on me.
Do you really? Can we see it?
I do.
I think you showed us on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Can you show it here? Can you show it on FTC?
I mean, if you want to.
Oh. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. I do not doubt your Digimon fanness anymore.
Yes.
All right.
I mean, I love Pokemon, but Digimon's always held a special place in my heart. And like I've made one of like my best friends in my life, like just because we met at Power Morphicon, and then like he heard my ringtone and it was the Digivice sound, and he like was like, let's go get lunch and like nerd out over Digimon. That was awesome.
That's cool.
And my favorite Digimon would be Metal Greymon, or not Metal Greymon, War Greymon. And then the reason why is because, what was it?
Renee, I think Renee showed it up. Call it up again, Renee.
Metal Greymon.
Oh, that's the Digi Changer. Yeah, the Digi Evolution line. Those things are awesome toys.
Yeah, this is the one I won from the contest 20 years ago.
Oh shit!
You've had that for 20 years?
Yeah. Bandai toys back in the day.
Dude,
they were good quality.
Oh wow.
Those were such fan favorites that they've actually remade them like in the last 2 years.
Oh really?
Yeah. And then they made a couple more. But yeah, love
War Greymon.
War Greymon, and then Metal Garurumon, and then they combine to make Omnimon, and you get that aha moment in the movie.
Yeah.
Which was horribly dubbed here in America, like Tyler was talking about.
But now it's a cult classic.
Exactly.
For the wrong reasons, I'm assuming. Like if it's right, or is
no,
it
for the best reasons.
Is it okay? I want to make sure. I'm like, I don't know. Like Tyler showed me a dub of a bad DBZ movie. I'm like, dude, this is not good. But people love it because I guess it's bad. But
yeah,
okay.
So bad it's good.
All right, so Kenny, those are your favorite mons?
Yep.
All right, so Mr. CJ McCree from Milwaukee, what is your favorite mon and why?
I mean, I'd say it's evident. I also think I came in saying that though, but yeah, my favorite Pokemon is Espeon, which is represented by this hat that I'm wearing there. But I've always been like a big fan of the evolutions. It was, I think Renee mentioned Jolteon earlier. It was Jolteon before Espeon came out. But Espeon did come out one game later, so it wasn't very long before my heart found another. But no, it's like I've always been like a very big psychic Pokemon fan. But yeah, Pokemon would be my choice. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think Espeon and Umbreon have the coolest evolutions?
I agree. Yeah, Umbreon is. I would like Umbreon probably more if I liked its moveset.
Yeah,
but
it's a little hard to use, and but I like how you walk them at day versus walk them at night. I think that's a really unique change.
Yeah.
All right, so Mom, I'm gonna go with mine. Mine is it's Squirtle because I love water Pokemon, and that was always the one I started with, and he was the one, and I just love him. Squirtle. That's my favorite because he becomes Blastoise, but I prefer him as Squirtle. That's my favorite Pokemon.
Renee.
Yes, sir.
I feel like Squirtle is my spirit animal.
Squirtle.
Why is that making
Squirtle?
That's a good impression.
That was really good, Joyce.
Squirtle.
That is amazing, Joyce. Oh my god.
It's not my fault. I spent hours watching Pokemon.
I'm sorry.
Time well spent. I do have a final question to everybody to pose. With the respective series that we were discussing today, what is something I guess that you guys could like? What's your favorite thing? Something that you could like point people to, like, you know what I mean? Like as far as the series, like maybe your favorite season, or maybe like your favorite game, or something that like you think that somebody who hasn't experienced that would like look at this and like, oh man, it might like bring them on board.
All right,
yeah, I'll jump.
Go, Tyler.
Oh, sorry. I'll jump in. I just mentioned a little bit earlier about character development. I think Digimon wasn't afraid to show like deep character elements through things they go through. Like for example, the main character parents were getting divorced in the
Yeah.
in the Digimon,
And,
and they showed that.
yeah. And one of them
And
was adopted,
that-
right?
Yeah, one of them was adopted. Yeah. So if you want a show to show like your future children or children, you already have any, Digimon's a good way to expose them to complex things subtly. And Pokemon, I'm not. Yeah, sure, this is a jab, but I don't think Pokemon really has much of that. And Digimon tends to have that in spades.
Yeah.
I was picking up what you were putting down there, Tyler. But I do feel that there are certain episodes and movies of Pokemon where they do bring real like relationship type things out, but it's just done in a different way. You know what I mean? Like this
It has a
lesson is learned through the
different-
relationship of these two characters. To lead into, I guess, the question that I was posing to you guys, into a bit of my answer. There's in the Pokemon series X and Y, which is what I would point people to, because I think it's actually a little bit better than you might think, especially if you don't even watch Pokemon. But in this, there are several episodes of Pokemon X and Y where there aren't even like human characters in them. They're just about the Pokemon, and they are just like, they're having this adventure, and they don't speak English, but like, they speak their Pokemon language or whatever. But it's like they do such a great job of communicating everything that's going on to you. Like, you're not speaking this language, but you completely understand the story, you understand the stakes, and you are like completely on board with it. And like the way that they can kind of communicate this story and still bring a sort of an emotional sort of like gravity to it is something that is kind of remarkable. And I like, while I do say, like, I will probably agree that it's probably not on the level that you're talking about, Tyler, but I do want to bring this up in that, like, don't brush Pokemon off like that though too. It's got gravity too. You know what I mean? Like, it's got some gravity.
I want to piggyback off of both what you and Tyler said, because you're right, and I think a connection that I just made in my brain is Digimon can talk. Like, your digital companion can talk to you.
Yeah.
Pokemon doesn't have that, aside from Meowth, which to my knowledge we don't know why Meowth can talk. But like, some of the most like emotional impact moments from Pokemon kind of come when Meowth is more or less talking to the camera.
Yeah.
So to go with what Renee was talking about, like, one of the three things that can bring me to tears instantly is the Pokemon movie. That scene where Ash gets so upset and runs in between Mewtwo and Mew fighting, and then gets turned to stone, and Pikachu's just zapping him and zapping him and zapping him, like trying to bring him back to life. It's like, that's where the emotion finally hits for Pokemon. Mm-hmm. Whereas I feel like Digimon brings the emotion like every episode. Aside from the movie has some epic moments, but it doesn't have anything that with like that much weight to it. Where the show itself does have that.
Anyone else? Joyce, anyone had anything? Pandora?
I got.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Renee. Sorry, go
ahead. Yeah. My series would be Digimon Tamers, which is a series that kind of segues from the main characters. And it's basically an alternate universe. It has a darker tone, and it's like what Tyler said. There's character development, and one of the characters in the show is a child that's dealing with the death of their mother and having to cope with their father moving on. And then it gets to the point where the villain at the end of the series feeds off of her emotions and becomes the bad guy at the end of the series, which is very emotional, very, for lack of a better word, very tense moment of the series. And it made for an interesting plot, because the first two series in Digimon Adventure 1 and 2, they're all light tone, but still there's that premise of we need to stop this threat or else the whole world is threatened. But there's this arc in this new series where it's like this entity could take over everything just because it fed off the emotions of one little girl. and I thought it was interesting, and I would recommend that to anybody who might want to watch Digimon.
Alrighty, that I will check that out. Not today, but I will check it out. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right, Pandora, what about you? Anything you want to recommend people should watch? Why they should watch Pokemon? Like this is what got you into Pokemon.
I wouldn't really say like a set thing. I would just say how Pokemon is basically showing like you, even though like you can't like talk to someone, but you can understand them even if you don't speak like the same language. How, for example, like Ash understand what Pikachu wants, or how Brock understands what his rock Pokemon want. And to answer someone's question about Meowth, Meowth actually learned to talk after he was rejected by a female Meowth, saying that she only preferred like humans and people with like money. So Meowth attempted to make himself more human-like by learning how to stand on 2 feet and by teaching himself how to speak English.
That's right. I forgot about that. That's
I did not know that.
And for example, like coughing and wheezing, they're basically a hidden message about pollution, because the original names for the Pokemon were going to be NY and LA because of cities like New York and Los Angeles, how they're dealing with pollution.
I did not know. Did you know that, CJ?
I did know that. I had looked at like a list of like original like names or whatever, like for like the beta like names for Pokemon or whatever, like before they went through like the localization, the full localization process or whatever.
Wow, Johanna, I did not know you knew this much about Pokemon. I'm so proud.
You're aware that Hamilton and Hamilton are also named off of real people, right?
Emily and Hamilton, yeah, Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee. No, I didn't know.
At least you know that one.
I knew that one.
I am ashamed. Johanna, you are now the weeboo.
Oh my god, there's a difference between weeb and weeaboo and otaku. Weeb is not short for weeaboo.
Yeah, you're an otaku.
Who, me or her?
You're an otaku.
Who, me or Pandora?
No.
Aren't we all?
Your sister's an otaku.
It's otaku.
Okay,
There's
otaku.
weeb and then there's
Everyone
weeaboo.
here.
Okay.
Yeah, no one here is a weeb. Yeah, we're an otaku.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, any final thoughts before we frack off? Anyone? All righty. Cool.
To each their own.
Yeah.
No.
Jesus.
Great show.
Overall, no matter what, like both these fan bases like offer a lot, and I recommend checking out both of them.
All
Yeah.
right. Sounds good.
They're both a good time.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you same fracking time, same fracking channel. Frack off.